Hello. I watched the debate between Tim Walz and J.D. Vance. I wasn't sure what to expect because J.D. Vance has been saying some crazy things, and both sides have been really attacking each other a lot, which I find very disappointing. I am always hoping that politicians will behave maturely and honestly. And well, that's kind of pie in the sky, I guess, because all our politicians do is attack each other with slander and libel and lie to us about what they will and won't do. It feels like. And I've been around for a long enough time to tell you that the majority of politicians work that way. They are in it for themselves first. They're in it for their donors second, and somewhere down the line, you and me. Now, there are exceptions. There are exceptions, but the majority of politicians are not motivated by helping the masses. They don't care. Or they stopped caring. Or they're just getting so much money and stuff that it overwhelms their morality, if they have any. But I digress. So I watched the debate, and I was hoping that Tim Walz would take the high road. And I was hoping to see some clear differences between them as far as their moral fiber. And I did see some. Now, I'm not going to go into great detail in this video. If you're interested in me doing a breakdown of this debate, then I will make a second video if I get enough comments and I get at least 1,000 likes on my video. I will do a breakdown of what was good and bad from both sides during the debate. I thought that the moderators did a pretty good job, but the first time when JD went off the rails and was talking, even though they kept on saying your time that we're going to go to the next topic, that they should have just shut off his mic right away because he was completely ignoring the rules and the fact that they were telling him to stop, which suggests a lack of respect for females. But I don't know. I don't know the man. He's married. He seems to be of the ilk that believe that a woman's place is at home and doesn't believe to a certain degree, he doesn't believe in abortion. Apparently, he's become somewhat more moderate on that because of something that happened to a friend of his. So the first question was given to Walz, and Walz decided he wanted to give a politician's answer and then go on the offensive against Vance and Trump, mostly Trump. And that was, to me, not okay. See, I'd kind of hoped he would take the high road and actually answer questions instead of evade them, but he evaded the first question. And he attacked, and I was just like, really? That's the best you can do? Avoid answering and then attack? So, yeah, it was a letdown. I expected better. But then again, we're talking about American politicians, so I guess I set the bar too high. And so he did do that a few times where Walz avoided answering questions. To be fair, J.D. Vance also avoided answering questions. In addition, one of the things that bothered me with Vance was that he was repeatedly ignoring the existence of Joe Biden as president, and that the vice president is always subordinate to the president, and unless they can figure out a way to be independently but acceptably valuable to the president, they're always behind the president. Now, my understanding is that because she was going from a career in law as a district attorney and then an attorney general, I believe it was, of California, if I remember correctly, into the role of vice president, she apparently spent a lot of time with Biden learning from him because he's been in politics for a long time, and admittedly, he has done some things that are not so good. Like if I remember correctly, he has done some racist things, for example. But that's beside the point. This is not about Biden. It's about Walz and Vance, or it was supposed to be. But Vance kept on lobbing bombs at Harris, who's never been president. And Walz kept on lobbing bombs at Trump. It was almost as if they were proxies. And that was disappointing. But what was even more disappointing, and I'm coming back to what I was saying before, is that Vance was ignoring the existence of Biden and blaming all these things on Harris that were not her domain. Like, for example, everyone keeps on calling her the border czar. That was not her role. She had no authority to handle the border, so she didn't go there. And there are all these very, very weak arguments that people who don't understand or who aren't paying attention or are not familiar with manipulative techniques that are used. False logic is a very common thing. So they don't realize that Vance is blowing smoke up your butt and Walz is blowing smoke up your butt. So, yeah, I have to say, Vance spoke very well. I think between the two of them, he is a better speaker than Walz. Now, you have to remember, being a good speaker has its place within politics. It can help with diplomacy. But then again, Vance has been known to really make major gaffes and show that he has a certain lack of social skills at times. He said some very incendiary things, even false things. And I remember I saw a video where he went to a restaurant, not a restaurant, I think it was a bakery, to get a bunch of donuts. And the conversation between him and the employees was very awkward. And it was awkward, mostly because he just didn't seem to have an idea of what to say to them. Whereas if you watch Obama or Trump or Clinton or a lot of other politicians, Biden, they would go in there and they would just be smiling and getting along just fine with the staff. But he was, I don't know, I guess he was nervous or something. Now, so this kind of cuts both ways, because on the one hand, he can be very awkward sometimes, and on the other hand, he can speak very well. And during the debate, he spoke very well. So this suggests that since he spoke very well, better than Walz, that he might have the potential to be a good diplomat. And certainly a better diplomat than Trump, who is a bully. So yeah, I'm not saying that Walz did a bad job, but I'm saying between the two of them, I felt that Vance was smoother. And yet he kept on going back to these false narratives about Harris. And that bothered me. One thing I did like a lot was they didn't get angry at each other. Now, Walz got a little bit heated sometimes, but they didn't do what Harris and Trump did. They didn't do what Biden and Trump did. They were civil. They even admitted when they agreed with each other, which I thought was a good thing. It showed that both of these men have the potential to find middle ground if they want to. Now the question is which of them would really want to find middle ground if they were in office? And you can't tell that from the debate. But the fact that both of them said, I agree with you on this, I agree with you on that, I feel the same way as you. And that was good, because one of the things I have that has absolutely disgusted me about politicians in general in this country is their childish behavior, their backstabbing, their slander and libel. And it sets a really bad example for the general population, because a lot of people are very much monkey see, monkey do. They see politicians behaving politely and in a friendly way. They will emulate that. If they see politicians behaving in a bad way, like talking poorly about people like Trump likes to do, then they will behave that way. And when we have decades and decades and decades of politicians behaving immaturely and rudely and even lying about each other, well, to me, that sets a very, very bad precedent for the general population, many of whom are very much sheeple in one respect or another, and in some multiple ways. So it's always upset me. So I was very, very happy that they got along fairly well. They didn't start throwing names at each other. They didn't yell at each other. It stayed civil and even agreeable at times. And at the end, I liked how when the wives went on, they were shaking hands, and then the wives were introduced to the other couple, and they all shook hands. And then both sides went over to the moderators, who did a pretty good job, and shook hands with them as well. I personally felt like the moderators did a good job, except for that one time. And I think that since I'm more neutral on this topic, because I'm a centrist, I felt like it was a little bit in the direction of pressing Vance a bit more. But, they did start out of the gates with the question for Walz, which was that he had misstated when he had been in China. And, he actually disappointed me on that one by trying to dodge the question, but the moderator didn't let him get away with it. She said, but I'm asking you, you said you were there at this time, but the records and witnesses say that you were not there then, you were there this time. And he said, yeah, I screwed up. So he finally confessed, but he should have done it as soon as they brought it up. He should not have dodged it, and that to me is concerning. So the fact that both of them were being deceptive and not willing to field their answers honestly without using political speak is of great concern to me. But I think that at least during that presentation, they both presented as sane, reasonable people. And I think that was definitely something that Vance needed to do, because he's been saying a lot of crazy stuff, like the Haitian stuff. I mean, that's horrible. I feel so bad for the people in Springfield because of all the muck that has stirred up, all the problems that has caused. And, I know the woman who started the whole thing apologized to the public and to her Haitian neighbors. But why did she make that false claim in the first place against Haitians? I mean, let's be honest here. Why wasn't it against her white neighbors or her black neighbors or her purple neighbors? I don't know. Is she surrounded by only Haitians that she would know that it would have been Haitians? Or is she a bit of a racist or maybe a xenophobe? Maybe she just doesn't feel comfortable with people who've come from another country, period, no matter what they look like. And maybe the only people from another country that are around her are Haitians. Or maybe she's a racist. So to me, her motivation in claiming that her cat was missing when it was actually hiding in the basement was motivated by racism and or xenophobia. And that's sad. But what Trump and Vance are doing to Springfield is not just morally reprehensible, it is criminal in nature. Especially since the mayor, the police, the city members of the city council, and even Governor DeWine, who's a Republican, as well as Mayor Rue, who's a Republican, they've all come forward and said, no, there's no problem here. Please stop. But they continue. So, yeah, but I'm digressing from the debate. So again, if a lot of people would like me to do a breakdown of every part of the debate, which obviously means it's potentially going to be a long video, please put comments down below saying that you want this. Or just one person put a comment, and then everybody who's interested can like that comment. And then I can get a feel for it. Anyways, please like, subscribe, and share. It would really help me out. It'll only take you a few seconds. Leaving comments would also be really great if you do have the time. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Hi. Thank you for watching my video. And I hate doing this, but things have gotten pretty sketchy with my employer. And without going into all the details, which I have covered at other times, at least in part, I need some financial assistance. If you have the opportunity to do so, that's great. If you don't, even if you can just put in a word of support in the comments, that helps. To have even just that is good. But financially, I need to be able to carry on doing what I'm doing with these channels. Not so much this channel, not so much the Eclectician channel, which is mostly just me learning about stuff and sharing it with you, but with my Glenn's Fast Reviews channel, where most of what you see that I review, I've purchased myself, or I've gotten at a food pantry, or somebody gave to me because they know I do reviews. But I have invested huge amounts of money in it. And at this point, with a little over 1,800 viewers, I'm earning maybe $125 a month, which doesn't cover the cost of what I've done, let alone the ongoing cost. And then even worse than that is my third channel that's the PC Expert Amateur, which I've invested a large sum of money that I should have been saving for my retirement, because I wanted to be able to present a lot of information about fans and air coolers and water coolers for computers and other things as well. And in order to do that, I had two choices. I either had to make deals with manufacturers and sell my soul, or stick to my ethics and pay for things myself in order to not be beholden to somebody and not feel like, oh, I owe them. So yeah, it's pretty costly. And with the situation with my employer, Amazon, in which the workers' compensation company Sedgwick refuses to fix my shoulder, which was injured at work over a period of months last year, because Amazon's management refused to abide by their own policies to provide me support. I may end up having to pay for the surgery myself with the help of my insurance, and that will still be very expensive. And then I would be out of work for at least a month. So switching to another job, it would be hard, because if I come to you and I say, hey, I want to work for you, and you're like really interested in me, and then I say, oh, by the way, in the near future, I'm going to be having a shoulder replacement, so I will probably be out of work for a month. You're probably going to say, I'll pass, thanks, though. Which would actually be illegal, and you won't tell me that's why you're not choosing me. But, it is a problem, especially with me being as old as I am. I'm almost 58. So if you could please, if you can either go to the my YouTube channel, Glenn's Fast Reviews, and you can make any kind of a donation on there, any size, any time you want, through that, because that's my monetized channel. Or you can go to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/Glenn M-I-I. That's GLENNMII. And you can make a recurring donation. The smallest one I have on there right now is $10. If that's too big for you to give on a monthly basis, let me know. I can always add a smaller one than that. I just need to know. But again, if you are financially strapped, please don't send me money. I don't want somebody else getting into trouble financially just to help me. That would weigh very heavily on my conscience. So thanks again for watching this video, and let's make the world a better place.